Hello, YouTubes! This is attempting to explain more Kirby lore in a single video. Ooh, this is actually sounds really fun. By the RPG manga. The RPG manga? That's an interesting name. Okay, let me see. I also have my laptop back. Alright, that should be fine. Which should be fine. Okay. I hope you guys are fine with spoilers and everything, cause I don't know. Just asking. Warning. This video contains spoilers for all recent Kirby games. Okay. That's fine. Oh shit. What the fuck?
All right. But before that, there's actually one key thing I wasn't aware of when I made my first Kirby lore video, the occasional unreliability of English localization. More specifically in the most recent games where...
it's always a problem. Localization. Honestly, it's funny. Localization is... Oh. Fuck. I totally forgot. Localization is actually there to basically be good to us, give us everything that we want in the West because there's demand for it, but sometimes they fuck up so hard. It's unbelievable.
Of English localization, more specifically in the most recent games where the localization from Japanese to English sadly led to some key changes in the text of pause screen lore, usually due to the struggle of fitting said translations into the limited space in pause screens. They'd be mostly fine in Triple Deluxe and Planet Robobot, where the most notable change in my opinion was the removal of a line in Knight's lore, said removal clarifying that throughout various eras, he's been continuously sealed away again and again, each time avoiding destruction, though sadly it's our allies that bore the brunt of these, where certain changes would go on to both completely change certain descriptions or alter them for the worse. Again, I'm not going to cover all of them, but to touch on the ones relating to the most important.
The same shit sadly happens in a lot of mangas if you actually look at it. Like, sometimes things are getting mistranslated or just falsely interpreted, because this is the funny thing with translation or localization, cause not everything just fits in the same language the way that it is intended to. Cause languages are funny. Languages are really, really funny, cause you can basically have a saying in one language that makes sense, and meanwhile in another language it basically makes no fucking sense. Or sometimes when you translate something, you think like, what the fuck was that supposed to be here? And then just do a little bit of mistranslating. It can always happen. Because that is the funny thing with languages.
Important parts of Kirby lore, let me first correct the part about Susie. As opposed to what the English description says, she actually isn't continuing Haltman's work of mechanizing planets. Instead, she's using their advanced technology to aid others and stop any evildoers.
I have no idea
Always
about
thought
Kirby.
It was a bit weird that the game said she resumed mechanization after...
Is that Kirby's girlfriend, by the way? Because, again, I have no idea about any of the Kirby lore, so if anybody wants to basically step up and tell me what the fuck this is all about, and tell me, actually, this is not what it is said, please do so, because I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing here. I'm just randomly watching something on the internet, and it's funny. It's funny to watch something, okay?
Everything that happened. Then with Void and a certain knight everyone loves, a fair amount got lost in translation. For instance, a line that got removed entirely for Void implies that it's made up of 4 core forces in the Kirby universe combined into all chaos and possibilities. Dream, Dark, Soul, and Heart. While you could take that at face value and say those are meant to be literal elements, I feel they're meant to be more abstract forces. Regardless, it definitely alludes to these forces being behind quite a few things we've seen in Kirby thus far, so I'll be referring to them as chaos from here on out. Trust me, this will be relevant later. Next, with Morpho Knight, its lore would sadly suffer the most from localization, with quite a few important details being left behind. Namely, that Morpho Knight appeared due to Galactonite's screams of the many years spent living, which to me sounds like Morpho Knight showed up out of pity for the Knight. After all, it's been established that for untold eons after being sealed away, the Knight's very existence has been diminished to endless imprisonment with sporadic battles happening in between whenever someone happens to summon summon him. He clearly resents this too, as shown when without hesitation, Galactic Knight destroyed Stardream mere moments after it summoned him. So with seemingly no real escape from his eternal fate, it only makes sense that the most powerful warrior in the galaxy wishes to be freed from this horrible cycle, the butterfly granting his wish by annihilating Galactic Knight and absorbing his power. We're starting off heavy with this video. Then in another bit of pause lore that got cut in localization, there's a line that reveals the butterfly is fully capable of traveling between dimensions. Considering recent events, this tidbit is more important than ever, but that'll have to wait. Translation mishaps aside, Kirby and the Forgotten Land isn't the only Kirby game to be released in the past 3 years. In the gap between Star Allies and Forgotten Land, there were 2 minor spin-off titles that both came with some pretty notable details. In Super Kirby Clash, I'd approach this game like you would many of mainline Kirby's extra modes, where despite not being canon, there's information inside that illuminates some things in the main universe. Or well, things singular in this case, because at the very end of Super Kirby Clash's campaign, Galactic Knight shows up. And
I do like the design of his armor. Like, look at these little horns and everything. I mean, he's pink, and you know, oh, wait, is it magenta? I mean, we can not say anything wrong. Actually, a random fact there. That leads nowhere. Okay. Lol. It was a joke. The animate Tsundere Yuki owner. Damn. Okay, I guess so.
Instead of the usual shtick of his lore further emphasizing how powerful he is or how he got sealed away, this is probably the craziest information dropped about him so far. You see, rather than being called Galactic Knight here, this game refers to him by the all-new name of Eon Hero. An insignificant if strange change at first glance that when paired with the fact that this new Galactic Knight fight has him attacking you with heart spears, all but confirms that Galactic Knight was one of the 4 heroes that originally sealed the Void Termina's Jamba Heart away. It definitely adds credence to him resenting being sealed away, as this confirms he went from saving the galaxy to being imprisoned out of fear. Though then in Kirby Fighters 2, this game for the most part doesn't have much importance. Dubious canonicity aside, the one thing worth mentioning here is we actually get to see Shadow Kirby again. Apparently taking part in this game's battles as part of some weird prank on Kirby, it's good confirmation that the mirror world is still safe. After that, I guess the—
Is that basically like with Legend of Zelda, where basically Link has a shadow version of himself that is basically also Mettaton? It's Magnolia. Oh. Mettaton? Or do you mean Metatron? Huh? I'm confused! I can't keep up with any of this lore. I have no idea about this lore. Mettaton. Mettaton. Not Metatron? I mean, isn't Metatron basically the writing angel that basically just has nothing else to do than just write and write? Undertale. Oh, okay. Wrong lore. Yeah, I don't know anything about the Kirby lore, so I have to be basically saying excuse me right now, because I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about it. So I'm currently just listening, trying to understand it. Meanwhile, my mouth is basically like, honestly, I thought always Kirby is some sort of cute little puffy, squishy thing that can basically just suck in as much as it wants, because it can suck so well. And that it's all just nice and nice lore that just is cutesy and everything. Didn't think it would be getting so dark. Kirby, he's a shadow. Link has a shadow. Mario, I have... That's true. Honestly, in Nintendo, everyone has a shadow version. That is true. Very, very true, so...
Masks DDD and Meta Knight used to power up could have importance down the line, but there's nothing that...
I have power masks now?
Points to that right now. So with all that taken care of, let's get into the real meat of the video. When it comes to the lore of Kirby and the Forgotten Land, a lot has changed from how the previous entries handled lore. And I'm not just talking about how lore is now contained in gacha figures either. Like how Star Allies heavily implied that Kirby and
gacha, where were those gacha figures like the figures in Skyland? Dude, does anybody remember those little toys for Skyland that you just had to buy so that you were able to just play a little bit more? Like, dude, that shit was absolutely malicious. If it's the same here, oh my god, no thanks.
Void are two sides of the same coin, one being born of positive energy and the other of negative energy. Forgotten Land comes in with even more implications like that. There's some hard facts here and there, don't misunderstand me, it's just the sheer amount of implications here outweigh them by a lot. For example, the fact that this game takes place in an alternate dimension to that of Kirby's universe. It's never explicitly said, but
true. Lego Dimension had... I actually owned the Lego Dimension, honestly. I was a fan of Lego, okay? But it was honestly... I was able to play the entire game with just the figures that were there in the package and everything, but I was sad when I saw that there were so many more levels. And I couldn't play them until I got all the figures. And I was like, no! There's a secret. Wait, what do you mean there's a secret? What? There was a secret where? Dude, it's been so long since I played Lego Dimensions. I think I still have the freaking portal of Lego Dimensions somewhere sitting behind me, but I was in the game of Lego Dimensions. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh my god, the good old times. But yeah, I still somewhere have the Lego parts of this, but I haven't been playing anymore. I mean, I don't even have anything to play it on anymore. It's been so long, man. Oh my gosh.
How at multiple points it's shown that time there runs significantly faster than that of Kirby's dimension is the most reasonable explanation considering everything else we learn, as even with Kirby getting sucked in around the same time as everyone else, he clearly arrived much later than them all due to him struggling against the portals for a few extra Popstar seconds, or the fact that despite Elflin coming back to Kirby near immediately after disappearing at the end, later he says that Coraline had—
If you bring Sonic to a Ghostbuster, he will mention a cursed doll, and the doll in Sonic World will... God damn it. God fucking
to nurse him back to health after he separated the two worlds, meaning from the perspective of anyone left on Popstar, Kirby was probably gone for barely any time at all. In turn, while I'll do my best to make everything as concise as possible, this means I will have to delve a bit more into theory territory than normal, as there's really no way to avoid it. Luckily, many of said theories do have substantial—
I've never realized how fucking heavy the lore of Kirby is. I thought it would be just fancy shine and lollipops. I wanted really lollipops, okay?
Evidence like that whole alternate dimension business. Though before that, let's start with the things we know for sure.
My God.
If you notice any differences from what you saw in the game, that's because I'm referring to direct translations of the Japanese text, not what we got in the localized game, since sadly, like those mentioned before, bits and pieces were lost in translation. Long before portals opened up above Popstar and sucked its inhabitants into the Forgotten Land, there was a civilization much like our own. At the time, its inhabitants were struggling with the ever-looming crisis of overpopulation, their world becoming too small for their civilization. Then, out of nowhere, came the ultimate life form, Fecto Elphalus, an all-powerful alien creature that's made its sole purpose to—
Wait, does that basically mean Kirby is basically playing in a world that's basically post-apocalyptic? Well, that is just interesting. Oh, it's a post-apocalyptic world. Dude, how many worlds are basically went through a fucking apocalypse before the main story starts? Everything is already destroyed. Wipe the slate clean for the new world. Let's go. Look at Pops from regular show. He was sunshine and actually lollipops, but he was a universal force. Okay. Damn. I did not know that, okay? I don't know much about the Kirby lore. I'm trying to learn right now.
Violently conquer world after world. However, against the odds, the people of that world managed to put a stop to Elphalus's invasion by capturing the alien.
Is that Truckcon? Is that fucking Truckcon in here? What is Truckcon here?
The odds, the people of that world managed to put a stop to Elphalus.
It's Truckcon. Oh my god. Bad. No one can escape the power of Truckcon. Cute things often equal deadly. Yeah. But there's one thing that surpasses them all. Truckcon. There's a reason that we have a truck in every isekai.
this invasion by capturing the alien. With the crisis averted, they then begin to study its powers in Lab Discovery, turning its fantastical...
Wait a minute, why did they call it gay baby? Why did they call it a gay baby? Gay baby jail. Do you know why you never see the driver of Truck-kun? There is actually a driver. We have seen Truck-kun's driver a few times actually. It was a short, cute thing driving it.
Abilities into technology beyond their wildest dreams. Most importantly, replicating the method they used to get there in the first place by recreating its ability to warp anywhere, whether it be from one location to the other or even to another dimension entirely. Although while experimenting with said warp technology, Fecto-Elphalus would be split into two creatures, one holding the small amount of compassion buried within them, and the other holding their invasive malicious tendencies. Once split, the newly created Elphalid would escape Lab Discovery altogether, never to be found by the civilization again. And as if Elphalus wasn't in a bad situation before, now that they're fractured, the eternal capsule that served as its prison had become its life support. Because in this larval state, they physically can't survive outside the capsule without copious amounts of energy. Thus, once they'd used up their invader completely and became a highly advanced technological civilization, the solution to their woes had become perfectly clear. Use their newfound warp technology to leave their cramped planet behind altogether. Their destination had being pretty obvious.
So, this civilization state, okay, we can't do shit here anymore, so they said to their planet basically, yeah, we're going out getting some cigarettes. We will be right back. Fuck this. Oh my god.
If you've noticed certain parallels to other aspects of Kirby lore, which brings us to the next round of major implications.
Weakness. No, you don't.
A bit more clear-cut compared to later ones, in Possessed Leongar's pre-fight speech, there's one line in particular that brings with it one of the biggest revelations in Kirby so far. As when he says that the Forgotten Land's inhabitants left for a land of dreams, just what other location does that sound like? That's right, the very place Kirby calls home, Dreamland. Now, to be fair, this could also mean Kirby's universe at large and not specifically Dreamland, but there's definitely evidence that these people were here at some point, because after abandoning both their planet and dimension, this civilization would go on to become the enigmatic ancients we've come to know all too well from many years worth of lore.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Scalim. I've never played Smash Bros, so I don't know.
More specifically, the scientific ancients, as the magical ones were probably already in this universe when they arrived. Need more proof? Just look at all the technology associated with the scientific ancients. Many probably made with the magical ancients during their period of friendship. There's the Lore Starcutter for one, which specializes in interdimensional travel. Ships like it most likely serve to take the scientific ancients to Kirby's dimension in the first place. And who can forget the Clockwork Stars? Alongside it...
Yeah, but what happened to them after they were taken to the... Kirby's universe? Like, where the fuck are all of these super smart beings? Where the fuck did they go?
Shown that many of the wishes they grant involve the use of opening portals to other worlds or dimensions, and don't their cores look like a certain someone? It may just be me, but the shape of Fecto Forgo's head in that capsule looks a bit too similar to the cores of Clockwork Stars to be a coincidence.
Why does he look like a fucking heart? He looks like a fucking heart at this point. So that's why they called it gay baby. Oh my god, really?
This means that with this major reveal of the scientific ancient's origins, we now know how...
Wait a minute, Kirby can become a car? Since when can Kirby become a... Wait, can he also become Truck-kun? Oh my god. He can turn into Truck-kun. It was Kirby. It was Kirby all along.
Alcandra wasn't their homeworld. It was one of possibly many places they called home after leaving their original dimension. Alongside Alcandra, even Shiverstar could have been their home for some time. The abandoned civilization on that planet does bear many striking similarities to what we've seen in Forgotten Land. However, as the world could just be the Kirby Dimension's version of the ancient's old home, there's an equal chance its inhabitants were entirely separate. It'd be pretty funny if they recreated their original planet only to screw it up all over again. But I'll stop there to refrain from sprinkling.
This wouldn't be the first time an ancient civilization abandons their old home just to screw over another home. Yeah, it's actually I mean, if they haven't really learned their lesson from the first time, They probably have done it. Yeah, that's probably the closest we have.
Again, too many crazy headcanons. Back in the Forgotten Lands dimension, Fecto-Forgo remained confined for eons.
Ooh.
So long, in fact, that the fauna left behind on the world would eventually evolve to a point of intelligence. Using this to their advantage, Fecto-Forgo would slowly but surely spread its will over the planet from within their psychic dream dimension. While gradually gaining influence over all life on the planet, they'd managed to directly take control of a prominent animal named Leon when he discovered Fecto-Forgo. Then, using Leon's famous status among the peaceful animals of the world to rally them under the plots of Forgo, Leon would become Leongar, and the Beast Pack was formed. Through Leongar, this is when the Beast Pack would begin searching the planet all over for Elfilin, along with gathering food and the recently transported residents of Popstar to provide the energy Fecto-Forgo needed to exist outside the capsule, which finally is where the events of Kirby and the Forgotten Land actually start. Since while Fecto-Forgo still had the power to open up portals between dimensions, the fractured state significantly destabilized the power, leading to portals seemingly opening up at random like they did in the...
I didn't think it would be so much heavy sci-fi shit in here. I thought it would be funny in jokes, but damn.
Beginning of the game. In the mere moments that Kirby struggled against the pull of the portals, Elfilin and the Waddle Dees would establish their village far away from the Beast Pack's usual operations. Meta Knight would take to defending them, all the while resisting Forgo's influence, and DDD would, well, fail at resisting to say the least. Seriously, this has to be the most extensive backstory to the events of a Kirby game yet. Don't worry, there's still more to cover. Jumping ahead to after Fecto-Elfilis's initial defeat at the hands of Kirby and Elfilin, merely destroying the ultimate lifeform's corporeal body wasn't enough to fully defeat it. Now existing solely as an incorporeal entity, sustained by their own incredible psychic powers, Forgo retreated to their dream dimension. There, they begin to once again plan their return, despite being in an even weaker state than before. The only real advantage to be had being the fact that they could use Leon's body as their own. So getting rid of Leon's soul and smashing it to pieces for good measure, Forgo began to create an army of stronger doppelgangers from the residual psychic energy left over from Forgo influencing the entire planet, which sets the stage for the real important thing coming up. Where all the backstory surrounding the ancients and Elfilis was pretty significant, equally so is the second appearance of Morpho Knight. Unlike its introduction in the what-if mode of Star Allies, this marks its first appearance in the canon timeline. Now this is incredibly monumental for several reasons. Not only is this the first time ever that a fight originating in Kirby's what-if scenarios made the transition over to being 100% canon, it also raises even more questions about Morpho Knight itself. For one, while Hal was definitely alluding to Morpho Knight eventually crossing over into the canon universe before, I did not expect it to happen so soon. It's still an incredibly mysterious entity, but we do still learn some interesting details. Namely, its appearance right before Fecto-Forgo's soul was about to fight Kirby reinforces Morpho Knight's nature of reaping all-powerful characters that have lived unnaturally long. As much like Galactonite before it, Fecto-Forgo has also been trapped for an unimaginable amount of time, only surviving due to its sheer power. But it could also be as simple as Morpho Knight absorbing him solely due to his power, like the gacha lore states. When it comes to Morpho Knight this time, it's actually what happens after you fight him that brings in a lot of very important illusions. Like how when you beat him, rather than only dissipating back into butterflies, Fecto-Forgo manages to escape. And before we get to all of what comes next, this confirms a pretty massive detail. You see, when Morpho Knight was first defeated in Star Allies, there was no such animation for Galactonite escaping, which leads me to believe that all this time, Morpho Knight still holds Galactonite within them. In a weird roundabout way, this means Galactonite's entered the canon universe too. Now this is stepping a bit into theory territory here, but all the signs point to this. After all, with it being shown that Morpho Knight still has many of Galactonite's attacks, this makes it incredibly likely that the supposed strongest warrior in the galaxy could be inches away from making his first canon appearance. We'll just have to see what awaits us with what's sure to be plenty of future Morpho Knight fights. On a side note, I do wonder if, like Morpho Knight, there's only one Galactonite that can be summoned from across dimensions. Because if that isn't the case, there could now be two Galactonites in Kirby, the one absorbed by Morpho Knight, and the as of yet unseen one in the canon universe. But that's a headache for another day. Going back to Fecto-Elfilis's last shot at revenge, we're met with this game's soul boss equivalent, Chaos Elfilis. Having pulled a reverse...
Those are some pretty wings.
Morpho Knight and taken some energy from it for a change, the simple fact that it's now called Chaos Elfless hints at Morpho Knight's very origin. Again, stepping a bit back into crackpot theories here, remember all that stuff about Chaos from earlier? Alongside its components consisting of things that are all pretty important in Kirby, it's said to be the very origin of Void itself. Well, considering that Chaos Elfless only received the Chaos part of its name after taking some of Morpho Knight's power, that leads me to believe that Morpho Knight is either linked or straight up comes from this mysterious all-encompassing force. Like many soul bosses, Chaos Elfless makes use of various attacks we've seen past soul fights utilize. For a long time, I always thought it was just some fan service on Hal's part, nothing more. However, seeing that it only received said attacks after taking on the power of Chaos, that leads me to believe that every soul fight until now has had some sort of connection to Chaos. After all, one of the things stated to make up Chaos in the first place is Soul. As it stands, we don't have enough puzzle pieces here to fully predict what this entails, but I'm certain that this is building up to something unbelievably immense. So after putting Elfless's eons of struggling to an end, Kirby's power of miracles allowed the entity one last chance at rebirth. Thus, with Elfless willingly rejoining with Elfilin to become whole for good, that just about wraps up all the new lore there is.
And cute and
as minor as it is, during the final battle, Elfless does share one attack with another boss before the whole Chaos thing happens. Just like Void Terminus' third phase, he also dives toward you, dragging a weapon across the ground. Not to mention, in Elfless's theme, there's a portion that features a very similar organ progression to that of Void Terminus' third phase too. You could easily chalk the two up to coincidence, but I felt it was at least worth mentioning here at the end. It is interesting how, in spite of how much of the Forgotten Land is shown, we never get a glimpse of what the scientific ancients might have looked like. Taking context clues and the cardboard cutout in Wandaria into consideration, I think it's safe to say they were humans, or something resembling them at least. Adelaide's got some explaining to do. So there you have it, another video of me incessantly rambling about Kirby lore. Just about finished that strawberry shortcake from last time, so how about a Kirby burger?
Kirby burger, let's go!
Real quick before I thank my patrons, as I'm sure a good number of you found me from my Kirby lore video in the first place, I've actually made more Kirby videos since then. Do check them out if you need your hunger for Kirby satiated that much more. And now, to those who continue to help out the channel, I'd like to give a heartfelt thanks to Nathan and everyone else who's decided to contribute. You guys are the best. If you want to help me continue making more videos like these and receive a special thank you amongst a lot of other bonus stuff, do check out my Patreon, link in the description. Man, I cannot believe that it's been over 3 years since I made my first one of these. Crazy how ever since making that one.
Okay, what else do we have here?